Big up Stephen A. Smith for giving all of us professional haters like myself a bad name. Stephen A. Smith is giving all of us professional haters, aspiring haters, blue collar haters. Shout out to DSP, fuck DSP, white collar haters. He's giving us all a bad name. Why do I say that? Stephen A. Smith got involved in a little bit of a passer, right, with LeBron James, which I thought was a bit blown out of proportion, but I also understood both sides. To give you a brief synopsis of it, Stephen A. Smith has been very critical of LeBron James and the introduction of LeBron James' son, Bronny James, to the NBA. Like most people, you know, he thinks it's rooted in nepotism. He thinks it's not earned, it's not warranted, it's not whatever, right? We've all got the same opinion about Bronny James. But some of us, myself included, I kind of want to see him win. I don't know anything about basketball. I don't know a single thing about basketball apart from people shooting the thing into the hoops, into the net, sorry. I don't know anything about the rules, nothing. But I've watched a ton of content online. I've read a bunch of media reports, a bunch of op-eds, a bunch of articles, listened to a bunch of former professionals on podcasts, and they're all saying the same thing. That Bronny James kid probably isn't good enough for the NBA, but he's got there because of his dad, right? And I think that's been the general criticism about Bronny. I don't think anyone else has said anything else crazy. But I guess for whatever reason, I haven't heard it myself personally, but I guess there has been some clips out there where Stephen A. Smith has said stuff about Bronny and about LeBron that LeBron feels like it's too personal. Now, I don't know if that's true, personally for me. I'm going to call cap on that. Because I think everything I've seen across the board has been the conversation about nepotism and the conversation just in general about him not being good. I haven't seen anybody say anything crazy about Bronny in terms of like insulting him, because he's not even that kind of kid. He comes across really like well-mannered. It looks like he's been raised right. He's not all rah-rah. Like he's really chill. Maybe that's probably part of his fault. That's maybe maybe a bad thing that he has. He's way too chill. Maybe if he's a little bit more, you know, out there and aggro and really on the front foot and kind of a bit shithousery and a bit of a wind-up merchant and kind of backed his, you know, and tried a lot of shit but backed it up with his talent, maybe people will lay off of him a bit. Maybe, I don't know. Who knows? Either way, LeBron James hasn't liked what Stephen A. Smith has said about his son Bronny, and he think he went too personal. During one particular LA Lakers game, LeBron James was playing, and I think this was mid-game, and they had a break or something. He sees Stephen A. Smith, he goes over to him, and essentially from what it looks like to me, we can't hear what they say, but it looks like LeBron James checked Stephen A. Smith about his comments regarding his son. Now, at the time it happened, I thought it was a little bit lame of LeBron James. I'm not going to lie. I thought it was a bit lame. Like, everyone says something about your son. Everyone has something to say about your son playing for the Lakers. Everybody has something to say about whether or not he's good enough to play for the league or not. And then you go in like step 2 and check the black man. He's the only one you check. You know, I don't like that sort of stuff. If you're going to do the whole like check-in and, you know, putting people on notice and all this sort of nonsense, right? All this aggro like man stuff, do it to everybody. Don't just do it to the black guy because he looks like you and it's not going to look as bad and you won't get as bad with flack. Because if he did that to a white dude, not Skip Bayless, but if he does it to another journalist, people are going to go crazy. But you can kind of get away with that with black people. I think so in general. It's a little bit unfair how it is, but I guess it is what it is. Well, it then comes out that he didn't like attack him. It was more so him kind of being upset that Stephen A. Smith said something about his son, which I still don't think was cool. But regardless, I rated LeBron James for going to the guy and talking to him face to face. He could have made a video online. Nah, he saw him and he saw red and he went and he said something and he left it as that. Stephen A. Smith, after the fact, I thought kind of made himself look a bit dumb. Look a bit like, you know, PUSSY. Because he was going around talking a lot and essentially trying to make it seem like he was a victim. Like at first he was like, it's almost like he was about to cry because somebody he looked up to said something really bad to him or didn't like him. It was weird. Like, cause usually you're used to Stephen A. Smith, like, you know, doubling, tripling down, talking with his full chest. And he was really meek, really somber, really down in the dumps about LeBron James stepping to him in the match. Well, it seems like that has got back to LeBron, and LeBron, which is very rare. I don't think I've seen him on many pods outside of his own barbershop thing. He kind of keeps himself to himself. But I kind of like this. I'm not going to lie. I kind of like this because he's clearly an intelligent dude, clearly knows the game very well, clearly sees everything, but just doesn't comment on it. So it's good to see him on these type of platforms. So he jumped on the Pat McAfee show and decided to basically address what happened, didn't it? Post him stepping Stephen A. Smith. And I thought he spoke really well about the whole issue. And if anything, he maybe reignited that beef again, inadvertently. He reignited the beef again, but he just couldn't resist to get some, you know, a little couple blows in. So here's LeBron James speaking about Stephen A. Smith on the Pat McAfee show.
Which leads, obviously, to you and Stephen A. Hey, legit, that feels like a moment that had been brewing for a long time.
He's like on a Taylor Swift tour run right now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're watching. We're all, you're seeing it as well.
He literally, it started off with, I didn't want to address it.
Yeah, sure.
I didn't want to address it. I wasn't going to address it. But since the video came out,
exactly.
You will be not to talk about it.
Are you kidding me? If there's one person that couldn't wait to the video to drop so you can address it, it's your ass. Like, seriously.
Exactly. And it's a line that everyone says, isn't it, right? You know how I be. You know what time I'm really on. It's like, we don't know you. The first time we've seen you on my timeline is right now. You know? You know how I get down? I have no idea how you get down. I don't even know if you can squat down, let alone kneel down, let alone bend down. I have no idea, you know? You know how I be like, I don't really like addressing this sort of stuff. Yes, you do. Your whole feed is full of clapbacks. What are you talking about?
Seriously, and like another, he completely like missed the whole point. The whole point. Never would I ever not allow people to talk about the sport, criticize players about what they do on the court. That is your job, to criticize or to, you know, be in a position where, okay, if a guy's not performing, you know, that is all part of the game. That's all part of the game. But when you take it and you get personal with it, it's my job to not only protect my damn household, but protect the players, you know. And
I don't believe that's true. I can't think of, has there been any instance where LeBron James has attacked or gone after a journalist when they've spoken about a player he played with on the Cavs or the Miami Heat or at the Lakers? I can't think of many. When they got personal, does he do that? Does he go and check reporters if they get personal about his teammates? This is obviously to do with his son. And I also don't like the fact that he never says what the personal thing is. What was it? Because again, I don't follow Stephen A. Smith religiously, but I do know out Stephen A. Smith and Skip Bayless, Stephen A. Smith is more of a LeBron lover than Skip is. So if Skip got personal, I can believe that. But I don't believe that Stephen A. Smith ever got personal. I believe it was always like about, you know, being a journalist, being a pundit, being a fucking whatever, and kind of criticizing the player and what he's doing on the court. And maybe his inclusion or whatever, the special exemptions being given, the circus around it, the influence that maybe LeBron James has on the league, maybe too much of it, blah, 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 whatever. But I don't really remember the personal thing that was said. So if something was said, just say it. But when you say personal thing, everyone automatically kind of is like, oh yeah, true, I get it. Everyone kind of holds their hands up. Yeah, fair. But you don't really say what the personal thing is. That's why I don't like it. It's a little bit manipulative. It's a little bit clever, a little bit cheeky. Little bit cheeky to not say it and then say it's personal and everyone thinks it's some big thing, but you don't really say what happened. But big up LeBron anyway.
I think a lot of the media, including him, and I know he's gonna be happy as hell. He's gonna smile from ear to ear when he hears me talking about him again. Oh my God, he's gonna get home and grab some ice cream out of the fucking freezer and sit in his chair in his tighty whities on the couch.
I hope at some point you two do get a chance.
Like,
but you're right.
Dude, like relax, bro. Like relax. Like seriously.
By the way, it's definitely beef because when Pat McAfee said, "Hey man, I really do hope you guys will get to," he's like, he doesn't say nothing. He doesn't say, "No, we're not gonna be friends." But fuck that guy. So I guess it's fuck Stephen A. Smith forever. I don't think they ever will be friends. Maybe there might be a point later on in a time when the LeBron James Netflix documentary comes out and he's old and grey. We might see a weathered, you know, Stephen A. Smith there giving his commentary. But it looks like from now on, they're not going to be friends. Anyway, Stephen A. Smith obviously saw this. And Stephen A. Smith did the worst possible reply ever. Because I guess he felt sensitive and personally offended by what LeBron James said. And instead of addressing what he said, he tried to go on some like man thing, right? On some like machismo, alpha male, mask. I don't know what he was trying to do here, but this wasn't the reply you need to say to LeBron James. Not after he went to the studio to record with Pat McAfee, and he clearly looks like a fucking alien. Like him sat around regular sized people you see how freakishly big he is. And I think he mentions in an interview that he's 6'9" and fluctuates between 215 pounds and 260 or 70 pounds. 6'9", can jump, backflip, like whatever, all this nonsense. Like he's in, like his physique is insane. So Stephen A. Smith getting on his show and saying this after LeBron James said what he said, and we saw his fucking frame amongst regular schmegular people, is wild.
That man put his hands on me, I would have immediately swung on him. Immediately. That man put his hands on me, I would have immediately swung on him. Immediately. That man put...
Yeah, okay, that's what he said, right? And then I love... Let's get LeBron James's reply. I love LeBron James's reply on Instagram. Hopefully he's still up there. Hopefully he still has it up there. But LeBron James's reply on Instagram legitimately filled me with so much joy. I love when my athletes get a little bit petty. I love it when they come down in the mud, in the muck, in the fucking sewers where we are, and they kind of play. You know, they kind of play and remind us all who's a real boss, who's a real Dangorgan. And this is the reply that LeBron James had on his feed, directly aimed at Stephen A. Smith when he said he would have swung on him, right? Look at this reply from LeBron James. What a freaking legend. What a freaking legend. I would have swung on him. Look at this reply from LeBron James. Womp, womp, womp.
Yeah, make it more fruit. Yeah, push. Clean up that cup more. Raise him up. Yeah, make it more fruit. Yeah, push.
LeBron ain't scared about nothing. And next slide. All right. Hey yo, R.I.P. Young Dolph, R.I.P. Young Dolph. But honestly, man, please, for the love of God, Stephen A. Smith, like, there needs to come to a point where, as a professional hater myself, you have to accept that when people have every right to clap back. And sometimes the clapback is usually, I think in some respects, especially the person who's been quiet, they don't usually speak, can sometimes hurt way more than what you had to say. And sometimes you have to just take that on the chin. You just have to take that on the chin. It's okay. If you have, like, Stephen A. Smith has had, like, however many years, 22 decades or whatever it may be, right, of criticizing, saying some maybe snarky things about LeBron James. I don't think LeBron James was ever directly replied to him in any kind of way, except for this time. Then he finally does say something, and you kind of throw your toys out of the pram. You get all emotional, you start crying, you start saying you're gonna fight him, you start talking about racism and all this stuff and blah, blah, blah. It's like, bruh. I like you, Stephen A. Smith, but you just have to take you on the chin. You said what you have to say about LeBron and Bronny James. Most of us, myself included, agree with you. He clapped back. That's okay. That's okay. Even if he is embellishing the truth and lying a little bit. That's the power he has because he's who he is. And he hasn't replied for a while. So when you don't reply, then you finally do reply, your impact hits a bit harder because we get to hear, Stephen A. Smith like shouting from his point of view all the fucking time. But we rarely get to hear from LeBron James. So the fact that he did reply was pretty good. Personally speaking and selfishly speaking, I would love to see more of that from LeBron or more of that from athletes in general, especially in football in the UK. I feel like in general, let's say across the board, when it comes to football, the players don't really talk that much. They let a lot of stuff slide in the media. Maybe some of it is true, but they let a lot of stuff slide in the media. A lot of narratives run on social media. They could easily just lock it all off, but they don't. And I wish they would say something. You know what I mean? Fire back. But I guess if you say something, you add more fuel to the fire. If you say the wrong thing, you maybe open up another fucking rabbit hole. Another fucking narrative gets run that you weren't even, cognizant of when you said what you said. So I can see the issues and why they kind of are hesitant to do it. But it is quite nice when athletes or professionals at that level lower themselves down to responding to stuff they saw on the internet. I think it's fucking hilarious, honestly. I think it's fucking hilarious. But LeBron is full of shit though. LeBron is full of shit. He only did that to Stephen A. Smith because Stephen A. Smith spoke about his kid. He's not some Superman that goes around protecting all of his players, all of his fellow teammates, whenever a media person says something to them about them personally. I don't think so. I don't think that's the case. I think he's full of shit a little bit, but that's perfectly okay. That's perfectly okay, because guess what? We're all full of shit. We're all full of shit.